Hello, everyone. My name is Olivia. I'm 47 years old, and this is one of the most unbelievable stories I've ever experienced. Even now, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it, but I can't stop replaying the events in my mind.
This is a true story. I asked my friend Jay when he first learned about 9/11. He started recounting a specific memory of stepping outside, seeing smoke everywhere, and asking his mom about it. He claimed she told him planes had hit the towers. I just stared at him, listening in silence. We live in the Midwest. There's no way he saw debris from the towers. Also, we were born in 2003. I once had to explain to a girl why it wouldn't work to grow her hair down over her face and just cut eye holes in it. Even after explaining, she couldn't grasp it and dismissed me for being too smart. People who wear a mask but don't bother to pull it over their nose. I got a concussion a while back, and a friend warned me to stay away because they thought it might be contagious. They were completely serious. My first retail experience taught me what some customers are really like. During a seasonal change, we put a bunch of shirts on display at the front of the store at 50% off. While working the register, a woman came up with her items, looking visibly annoyed. The following exchange occurred. Lady, why is this so expensive? Me, excuse me? Lady, this should be $10, not $20. Thinking the item might be on sale, I asked her to show me the sign. It was a small store, so we didn't even have to walk anywhere. Lady, this sign here. Me, this sign says all shirts are 50% off. Lady, exactly. So why is this full price? Me, that's because this is a hat. During a discussion in science class about the Fukushima nuclear disaster, we talked about how the reactor had failed. About 5 minutes in, a girl interrupted saying, "I don't see what the big deal is. Why can't we just regrow it?" She genuinely thought a nuclear power plant was an actual plant. I work for Parks Canada in Yoho National Park. On 2 separate occasions, I've been seriously asked, "Where do you keep the animals at night?" To this day, I can't help but laugh, imagining what they thought we did, rounding up all the animals in the park every evening. I once helped a coworker on the side of the road with a flat tire while they waited for a tow truck. I pointed out the nail at the top of their tire. They scoffed, looked at me like I was an idiot, and said that couldn't be true because the tire was flat at the bottom. I just walked away and didn't bring it up again. While working at a restaurant, we had a dish that was just a whole grilled chicken, cut into pieces. A woman ordered delivery and called back, furious, complaining that her order of 1 whole chicken had only 2 chicken breasts. I had to explain to a grown woman that chickens only have 2 breasts. I met a guy who had been hit by a train. It wasn't too severe, but a year later, he went to show his daughter where and how it happened. He ended up getting hit by a train again. In high school, a girl interrupted a documentary about people living in mud huts in Africa, demanding the teacher stop it because she was upset that fictional films were being shown in a history class. It took the entire class to convince her that people actually do live like that in certain places. That's wealthy area living for you. In high school, I met a boy who asked me for a sanitary pad because he thought he was having a period. It turned out he had just sat on a melted popsicle. Yesterday, I read about people blaming ocean water and sand for giving them coronavirus, instead of realizing it was due to being on a crowded beach surrounded by strangers. When I moved from Germany to the UK, a guy asked me if we had colors in Germany. There was a girl in middle school who couldn't understand how perspective worked. She also thought north was always the direction you were currently facing. Once, someone asked me what it felt like to come to the US as a refugee. I'm from Germany. She looked shocked when I explained that Hitler had been dead for 75 years and that Germany is now one of the more progressive countries in the world. She had genuinely believed I fled Nazi Germany. I accidentally locked my keys, phone, and purse inside my apartment, so I went to the office to ask maintenance to let me in. The receptionist said she'd call maintenance and asked for a phone number where I could be reached. I explained that my phone was locked in my apartment, so I didn't have one. She insisted she needed a number. I told her I could give her the number but wouldn't be able to answer. She then suggested I get my phone out of my apartment so I could answer when they called. I rolled my eyes and said if I could get to my phone, I wouldn't need maintenance to let me in. She never understood, but maintenance showed up 10 minutes later. My sister once asked if the Eiffel Tower was in Paris or France and couldn't grasp how it could be both. Edit. Wow, my top-rated comment is about one of my sister's airhead moments. I feel like I should defend her now. This happened when she was 14. She's 26 now, graduated at the top of her class, and clarified later that she had meant to ask if the Eiffel Tower was in Paris or another part of France, but didn't phrase it that way. She's going to kill me when I tell her how much attention this got. A coworker bought a low-flow shower head and decided to fill his bathtub with it because he thought it would use less water that way. A guy burned down his convenience store for an insurance payout, but stopped the milk and bread deliveries the day before. While working at a pet store in college, a customer asked me which dog food would make his pit bull swole. I suggested a high-protein diet and plenty of exercise, but explained that genetics played a big role. He then asked if we sold genetics. I'm an identical twin and have been asked all sorts of ridiculous questions over the years, but the dumbest was when a girl asked, "Do you ever mix yourselves up with each other?" I responded, "Are you asking if I ever think I'm my brother?" She said, "Yeah." "No, I don't." While working at a grocery store deli in the Midwest, I tried explaining to a woman that the store brand macaroni salad was identical to the name brand version. She insisted she could only eat the store brand because one is made with mayo and the other with mayonnaise, and I don't like mayo. When I explained that mayo is just short for mayonnaise, she scoffed, saying, "I'm from the South. I know my food," and walked off. I once dated a guy and we watched Titanic together. He said the movie was dumb because the ship sank, claiming it was unrealistic. There's just no coming back from something like that, ever. My boss once asked me to file spam emails. He was the type who thought he was the smartest person in any room. I figured he meant the spam folder on the computer. It was odd, but I went along with it. The thing was, I couldn't find any spam emails that weren't already in the spam folder. Later that afternoon, he stormed over to my desk, demanding to know why the spam wasn't properly filed, as he slammed a manila folder onto my desk labeled spam. Turns out, he had been printing out spam emails and filing them in a physical folder. When I showed any disbelief, he doubled down, insisting the IT guy told him that was the proper way to handle spam. He got himself a folder and never questioned it. That was the moment I knew I needed to leave. At summer camp, one of the counselors made all the kids on a school bus keep the windows up on a sweltering day because she thought the air conditioning from the front of the bus was cooling us off. It was unbearably hot, and I, around 10 years old, had to explain to this 40-year-old counselor that the air conditioning she felt was actually just the wind coming through the driver's open window. She didn't believe me. I begged her to ask the bus driver if the bus even had air conditioning, but she refused, saying she didn't want to distract him while he was driving. The ride lasted about an hour. Eventually, she got so hot she finally asked the driver, who jokingly said, "The bus only has air conditioning when the windows are down and the wheels are turning." She turned to me and smugly said, "See? I told you it had air conditioning." Then she made us keep the windows closed for the rest of the ride. A friend once told me how much he hated potatoes while eating French fries. I blew his mind when I informed him that French fries are made from potatoes.